Ladies and gentlemen, and people who are frustrated, welcome back. It is the Fourth and One podcast. You can see as Simeon adjusts his camera, talking to myself in the third person. Makai is not here. That's because we both have real jobs and I'm available. We are live, based out of Littis, Pennsylvania, the place known for most girls' school outfits per capita.
Oh, wow. That's information I didn't need to know. I appreciate that.
I was trying to think of some. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm out of Mount Joy, and I don't think we're known for anything except dive bars and probably low income housing. I really don't know. Just kidding. I just bought a house here. So
hey, I hear those dive bars are actually pretty good.
Yo, it's up and coming. Mount Joy is the next Lidditz. Just I said it first, just so you know.
No, I actually kind of agree with you. So I'm there with you. And I'm from E-Town. So, screw E-Town.
That's right. Yeah.
The man across from me, El Capitan, is Alex Messina. I have no idea how to spell your last name, by the way.
That's fine. It's two S's and I-N-A. There you go.
Okay, perfect. You're in my phone as Alex M. So
you're in my phone as, I don't know. They might be just Simeon.
Makaya's annoying younger brother.
It's just one name. Simeon is like a Brazilian. You're like Brazilian on my phone. Like every Brazilian has one name. Yeah, that's you.
I didn't know that. That's really cool. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. I didn't know.
Ronaldinho, Neymar, one name. Nobody knows their last names.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nobody needs to. I think Neymar legally changed his name to only be Neymar. I think he has that type of ego.
Well, I think they have like 7 names to them, so like they just cut it down to 1.
That checks out.
Yeah, there you go.
Because it's weird. We have Alex on. He's our resident soccer nerd. As you can tell, me and Micaiah don't know too much about all sports, so we try to cover most of them. And the one thing that caught our interest was the now defunct, I think, officially not, but basically now defunct, the Super League or European Super League.
Yeah.
And we're going to chat with me, you guys. If you listen to our last podcast that came out last Tuesday, I think. I don't remember what day of the week that was. Friday, maybe. You heard me argue and make some false statements about why the Super League is a good idea. I still stand by that. Alex lovingly corrected me. Maybe not lovingly, but I still stand by it. However, there have been some updates, and I'm going to yell at some English people for treating Americans the way that they treated us like 300 years ago. So,
Alex, deserve it. They deserve it.
They kind of do. I mean, Alex, can you kind of jump in? I didn't do a good job and kind of explain what the Super League was supposed to be. And I'm going to say was supposed to be. There's no way they're coming back from this, in my opinion, unless you can tell me otherwise.
I think this is something that was in the making for a while. This is something that was planned. It was talked about for years. There were coaches and managers and officiates that were discussing it for probably a decade at least about its possibility. So I think for now it's probably on the back burner. I think we will hear about it again. I just think with all the threats from UEFA and FIFA, they just couldn't go through with it this year. It's because it wasn't planned right. It was a shitty plan. And I mean, it's a shitty idea, but it was a shitty plan in general, right? Like you execute a shitty idea with a shitty plan, it's not going to work. So there's that. But so yeah, I know you guys talked about it last time.
They kind of just dropped it on us, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They were all of a sudden like one morning it was like soccer was changed completely. And football if you're English. So I'm going to say soccer because, we live in America. But, it's football for the other side of the world. But yeah. But yeah, you hit it last time you talked about, there's 12 teams. I think you might have said like there was like French team was involved, like PSG or Bayern Munich. So those teams are not included. Those teams are actually not included in the European Super League, despite the fact that they are.
I have the Wikipedia page up in front of me.
Yeah. So I believe it was six English Premier League teams. It was 3 Italian teams, and I think it was 3 Spanish teams as well. I think that was the start of it. So that's 12.
I have Arsenal, Chelsea, the start, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Atletico, Real, and then the two Manchester guys, and then Inter and AC Milan.
And Juventus.
Actually, Inter is the wrong one. It's Juventus.
It's Inter, Juventus, and AC Milan.
Oh, okay. So three
Yeah.
Italian teams.
Yeah, three
Okay.
Italian teams, and then three Spanish teams are Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid. So it was 12 total.
Okay.
Despite the
Okay.
fact that, Bayern Munich won the Champions League last season, and they weren't, a part of the European Super League. Now, that wasn't by mistake. They denied entry into it. They were one of the few teams that were asked to join, and just completely was like, no, I'm not doing that. And PSG, same. So that was one of the other finalists of the Champions League last season. The finalist that was Bayern Munich won, and it was against PSG. And those two teams, who were probably the best.
And also,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I apologize. I should have told you to wear headphones. That's on me. Also, Dortmund or however you want to pronounce them was also asked. It looks like, as well,
as they should be, because they're a big team.
Yeah, and I feel like PSG, they're probably the most internationally exciting team, I would have to say, just because they have all the young stars and they have all the big people. Besides, I mean, you would know better than I would.
Sure.
I don't follow French soccer. I try to scrape by following Spanish and English, but that's barely.
Right, I get that. It's hard to say what's the best team in the world. It changes every season. What's the most exciting, that Americans like to watch? I mean, I feel like most Americans probably watch the Premier League, but a lot of the I know the other leagues are getting a lot of attention since Ronaldo came to Serie A in the Italian league. They've taken off. Like ESPN has the rights to them, and now I think it'll be all CBS next season. But yeah, I mean, you're right. PSG has some big players on their budget. They have Neymar, they have Mbappe. Those are the two big names they have. And they're sporting some great players. So I think they're actually favorites to win the Champions League this season. So
the PSG is.
Yeah.
Who are they absolutely. Who are they up against right now? They're on the other side. They're up against Real Madrid right now, correct?
It is Man City versus Real Madrid, and it's PSG versus let me look it up, actually. I forgot. So Juventus just dropped out of the Champions League. So I stopped watching it.
This is the 2021, because that's something that also confuses me. For the viewers, European soccer kind of goes all year round, correct?
Yeah.
Whether okay.
Yep.
And I'm just pulling it up here as well, so I have it. I have PSG versus Manchester and Real Madrid versus Chelsea. That's who it is right now.
That's right. Okay, it's Real Madrid versus Chelsea. Okay, that's right. Yeah. So I think, was it PSG that just won? I think PSG just beat them. So they play the second. I think they play the second leg. I think it's this week, actually.
PSG actually lost by 1.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Man City is up. They play tomorrow, actually, the 4th.
Right. Yeah, it's this.
And Chelsea and Real play the 5th, and that's going to be an interesting game because they're tied.
Right.
So European soccer goes all year round, whether it is mostly clubs, and you have what? How long is your non-champions, non-UEFA sponsored? So your country club.
Yeah. So they
how
call
long
it
is that season?
The domestic league. The domestic league. It goes from pretty much August to May.
Okay.
And it's all year round. And the Champions League, which they call it, originally is it's the European Cup. So that's the ultimate tournament, right? You play in your domestic league, of course, but the way to qualify for the Champions League or the European Cup is depending on your rank the year before. So, last year Juventus won the title, and so they are the champions of Italy. And then now they went on to play in the Champions League this season. They qualified. You basically need a top 4 spot to qualify for the Champions League next season. So despite whether or not you win the league, you're fighting for a spot in the European Cup and the Champions League, because that's the most prestigious tournament to play in for club soccer.
And is that bigger? Is that bigger than the World Cup, the Men's World Cup? Do you think
it's different? I don't think it's bigger, because there's no glory that's better than winning the World Cup for your country. And whereas, these players are coming all over the world to play for cities that they may not be from. So I think the glory of the World Cup is higher than the glory of the Champions League, but they're pretty close. The difference is the World Cup is special because it's only played every 4 years, whereas Champions League's every season. But
Yeah.
it's different.
Okay.
It's just different. It's like the Olympics versus the NBA championship. It's just different. It's special. It's different. Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I kind of want to transition here because I have it in my brain. You go from the idea of the Super League was kind of to usurp, for lack of a better term, from a talent perspective, from a team's perspective, usurp the Champions League, because what I'm seeing from a business perspective is you have the ability, you have room to the top. You don't normally have a lot of room to the top. Usually it's a race to the top and then you hit the ceiling, and then it's a race to the bottom to see who can get, in this case, better development or better lower tier teams.
Mhm.
But in this case, a bunch of people saw that there was room to the top. They could grab some more money, a lot more money, most
Yeah.
likely,
Yeah.
if they did it. And so they decided to create their own league. And is it correct that this would kind of usurp the Champions League in a way?
Yeah. So I mean, like, it would be in addition to the Champions League, but those teams would not be able to play in the Champions League. So you would still probably have the Champions League for the teams that weren't in the Super League. But
Okay,
would it really be the Champions League then?
because that's you're right. That's UEFA. That was UEFA, the governing. For those of you who don't know, the governing body of soccer, the
Of
governing
European
soccer
soccer.
body
Yeah.
of European. There's a longer name for America because we have to be weird. And they said, if you come in, same thing with FIFA, that they're basically not allowing these teams. Correct? That was their response.
Correct. So not only were they saying like you can't play in the Champions League, but any team that was going to participate in the Super League couldn't play in their domestic league. So
Okay.
take the top six teams. The top six teams. And we'll get into that later because I say top in quotation
Yeah.
marks. The teams that qualify for the Super League a lot of them are not doing well in their respective leagues right now. But let's say the
Right.
top six leagues in the Premier League. You take them out of there, and then the competition drops off significantly. This season, for example, you take those teams, they go to the Super League. The number one team right now in the Premier League would be Leicester, and I think West Ham is second.
Right.
Right, so you really drop off,
Yeah.
quite a bit of the skill level of each, and not just the skill level, but you drop off like the competition in each domestic league. But I mean, it gives these teams a
Yeah.
chance to
Correct me. I
win
just
the
want to make.
title. But go on.
Yeah. You could just correct me here from last. I said that Leicester spent a ton of money for their 2015 championship, and you said that they didn't. Correct? I just want to be corrected here. So I'm
Right,
getting
yeah, yeah. So Leicester, they don't have a huge budget. So these teams that come out and they have surprise upsets, they spend very little. So in fact, the reason why they did so poorly the year after they won is because they got ripped apart by big money teams that took their players away because they couldn't afford to keep them. So, for example, is N'Golo
right.
Kante, who became one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League, if not the world, got sold to Chelsea. And then Riyad Mahrez was another one. He was a huge, huge player for them. He scored a lot of goals for them. And those two players were hugely essential to winning the title for Leicester. Of course, now Jamie Vardy was another big one as well, but he still plays for them. So I don't know if Jamie Vardy was like a youth product from Leicester. He might have been, but regardless of whether or
Okay.
not he's a youth product, he's a legend at that club, and he's not going to leave. But these
Yeah.
teams, these other teams, have the finances to pull them away.
For the American viewers, which is basically everybody, you have to kind of look at European soccer a lot like baseball, and baseball meets, it's honestly baseball meets college football. That's the best way that I can describe it, because there's no salary cap in these leagues. They can spend as much money as they want to, and there's no luxury tax. You're not hitting anything. They can go out and spend $500 million legitimately. I think
Yeah,
Man U has gotten close to that a couple times in the most recent years, haven't they?
Man City and PSG are the two teams that probably spend the most. Like Neymar, they bought Neymar for $250 million. I think $250 million. I'm sorry. It was like $225 million or something crazy like that.
And that's not to the player. That's not a player contract. That is from the team to the team.
Exactly. It's a transfer fee. It's the only
Yeah.
sport in the world that has a transfer fee, I believe.
That makes total sense. It's kind of ridiculous the amount of money that is over there, and that also kind of makes sense of why we're going to get into this a little bit later.
Yeah.
Um, is why the Americans come over and buy these teams.
Yeah.
One thing that I kind of want to hit on real quick is the disagreement that we have that I think this would actually be good for European soccer before we get to the backlash.
Sure.
From the perspective of, I'm looking at it from a pure business perspective. Okay. I just want to kind of get into here. I don't think the teams would necessarily guess all of the domestic leagues would lose money immediately because
Yes.
exactly what would happen. However, I feel like what they should have done, and this is where I disagree with them on, is they should have just said, okay, here's the deal. We're kind of tired of of 12 teams ruling European soccer, and we want to make room for the Leicestershire cities of the world to I can never say that name.
It's just Leicester.
It's just Leicester. Okay,
Just
sorry.
Leicester. Yeah.
Leicester cities of the world to kind of move up and stay there and make money. So we're going to basically chop off the top teams and move them into their own league where they can compete with each other and basically do a relegation system, which I love more. Okay, hold up. More sports need to do relegation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It would make me so happy. I mean, you went to JMU, one of the premier FCS schools for college football.
Yeah.
And it would just make so much sense if we sent all the crappy teams from the FBS, send them down to FCS for a couple of years. They have to go recruit better coaches, and go get the better talent. And it would just sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It is genius. It is genius.
Yeah. It would take a lot of the money away, but I think it would be good in the long run because it would allow other teams to grow. That's my personal. What is the problem with that from somebody who knows better than I do?
Right. So here's the problem, right? Like you allow these teams to like finally win a championship or multiple championships, right? So like Leicester, they'd win this year. West Ham would probably come close second. Everton's another big one that comes to mind. Now, but what are they winning, right? Like so they win the title against teams with similar budgets, but it's basically a demotion for them. It is a relegation to them. To not be accepted in the Super League when these teams have proven to do better than some of the teams that are in the Super League is complete. It's a complete financial bias, right? So like let's talk about like the teams that got into the Super League from the Premier League. You have Tottenham, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Tottenham has never won the Premier League ever. Forget in the last 5 years, 10 years, they've never won the Premier League.
Yeah.
But they have huge budgets. They have Harry Kane,
which has been around since the 1900s, right?
I don't even think I'm not even sure if they've won it, but they haven't won it in any relevant time period. So like 20 years at least, right? So there's that.
Okay.
And they've had great players. They've had stacked teams. They've been to a Champions League final. So forget like not only have they not won the Premier League, but they've done poorly in the Champions League aside from their most recent Champions League final against Liverpool a couple of years ago. That's the only notable, the notable appearance that they made in the Champions League in recent years. And then prior to that, I don't think I know the Premier League has all these bullshit domestic cups, not in addition to the domestic league, like the FA Cup and some Shield and all that other stuff. I don't think they won any of that either.
Yeah.
So, hugely underperforming team, but a great budget and they have great players. So do they really belong in the Super League? And then you have Liverpool. Yeah. Liverpool's a great team, but right now they're in 7th place. Do they belong in the Super League over, even Leicester right now? Leicester's in 3rd. Leicester's a better team than Tottenham and Liverpool right now. And Arsenal. Forget Arsenal. Arsenal hasn't won a Premier League since 2003 or 2004. And they're sitting in, I think, 10th place, 9th place, something like that. And that's where I have
looks about right. They're below Everton and Liverpool.
Exactly. They're below Everton and Liverpool. You have Man U. Man U hasn't won a Premier League in 12 years. Man City is going to win it again because they have a huge budget. But also it's like you have these teams that like don't have, a great history. Like Man City was not relevant prior to 2010. They just
Right.
got huge. They
Which is
really
when
were
they
not
had a bunch
relevant.
of money dump
They
into
got a
them.
bunch of money. They got a new owner. Same thing with Chelsea. Chelsea before the year like 2003 was not a team that anybody knew. They had no history. They never won anything prior to the early 2000s. Tottenham's the same way. Like they might have a bigger history, but they have no, no medal history. They have no, like title history. They've won nothing. They have no trophy history. Man U, Liverpool, Arsenal, they have huge trophy histories, but they've been underperforming in the last, several years. So, I mean, if you wanted to qualify for the Super League, based on how you're doing in your leagues, then sure. But I feel like for those teams to be included purely based on history or based on wage alone, I think you're doing a disservice to soccer because like it's at the expense of the domestic league for one, but also at the fact that these teams that aren't performing well are going to be included and they're going to be making more money. And it's just not fair to teams that are performing well right now that don't have that opportunity. Like imagine like the Patriots being included
I'll allow it.
in like
I'll allow it.
exactly.
I'll allow it.
No,
Shut up.
it's great. Imagine like the Patriots and the Giants being included in a Super League, but like Kansas City's not or Tampa Bay's not because they have no like history.
I
That's
see.
that's how I see it.
Yeah.
And I had to
So
write
it's more
that down
your
because I don't know
problem is
shit about
more.
the NFL. I need like a reminder. Like good teams in the Dolphins, Giants, and Patriots, and I had Tampa Bay, Kansas City, and Green Bay is another one. There's some big teams.
Well, the Dolphins would be a great example of a
Right,
team that hasn't been relevant in this millennia.
right, exactly.
Let
That's
alone won anything. So it's really your problem is they were going after the teams that necessarily didn't have the best records, but had the most history and had the most money that they could put into a league.
right. It's
Okay.
mostly about money because you have examples like Tottenham that have no history; they just have money. And then you have
Right.
teams like Arsenal that have money and history, but they're not performing well. And then you have teams like Man U that are not performing well, but have a huge history and a lot of money.
Money, please. Money, please.
Okay. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you think if you had to fix this, do you think two questions? Do you think there should be a super league? And then B, yes or no? That's fine with plus your answer. And then either way, how would you fix it if you were going to fix a super league, even if you didn't want it?
Okay, so definitely no,
Okay.
because it comes at the expense of domestic soccer, and it ruins the Champions League. It ruins the rarity of the teams that you get to see in the Champions League play each other. Like the fact that you get to see Real Madrid versus Manchester United maybe twice a year, or maybe twice every like 3 years or something like that, is special. Those teams have the most views. Those games have the most views because of the rarity of it. When you have these teams playing against each other all the time, eventually it's going to get old. And then the biggest thing for me is in the Champions League, you have these small club upsets like Lyon, Ajax knocked out Juventus the last couple of years. Last year, Lyon beat Man City. I mean, a lot of people like know Man City. Nobody knows Lyon. Lyon beat Man City. RB Leipzig
Right.
beat Tottenham and Atletico Madrid last year as well. Now, who plays for RB Leipzig?
Yeah.
No,
Big,
I
big.
guarantee you couldn't name a single player in RB Leipzig. But do you know who Timo Werner is?
Nope.
Have you
Nope.
heard of Timo Werner? Well, he plays for Chelsea right now. He was like one of
Okay.
their big buy. They bought him from RB Leipzig. He did really well for Leipzig. Kind of
Okay.
shit the better for Chelsea right now. Maybe we'll see if he does better next season. But that's like they have these youth products that do well in these small clubs, and they beat these big teams. Right? RB Leipzig's not included in the Super League. Neither is Lyon, and they knocked out four teams that were included in the Champions League. Four teams that would be included in the Super League when you include Juventus, Man City, Tottenham, Atletico. So like it's the beauty of these small teams that have hope to go far in the European Cup and in their domestic leagues that you're just completely ripping from them by doing the Super League. So obviously, yeah, I'm against the
Now,
Super League. How would I
so
improve it? That's the question.
yeah,
Right.
if
So
you had to implement the super league, how would you implement it?
I wouldn't implement the Super League because I would change the Champions League. That's the thing. I
Okay.
don't see a
All
way
right.
that the
Hit me
Super
with it.
League is going to
Hit me
work.
with it.
But so the way I would do the Champions League,
Okay.
I would do it at the end of the season. And the reason why is take
Okay.
Leicester, for example, from 2015, right? They performed really well in the Premier League. They were one of the best teams in the world, but their team got ripped apart from other teams with more money. And so the following year, when they were playing in the Champions League, they performed like shit because they lost their players in the year before. So if you have domestic league soccer going from August to May, or maybe shorter now because you're not playing the Champions League, you say the Champions League from the end of the season, then maybe you could have like a compact Champions League that is like a playoff series almost. That way you have these players that are staying on the team for the season. They maybe win the Champions League.
Yeah.
Maybe they stay, maybe they go, but either way, they had that chance for European glory that they wouldn't normally get because they'd be ripped apart the summer before the next season. And that's the biggest problem I think with the Champions League is that like the Champions League also starts in August, September. So like, you have like the group stage in the fall, like the summer and fall, and then you have like knockout round fixtures that start in like February of like the following year, and that plays in like so the Champions League final is usually in June. But it starts, the year prior. So it's a crazy long season, and you have all these injuries, and you have everything that's impacting the team. But it's like they're qualifying for the Champions League based on the season before, when their players are older, when their players are injured, when maybe their team's been ripped apart by teams with bigger budgets. So I would play the Champions League at the end of the year.
That's kind of do it more like not that you would necessarily know this, more like college basketball, where you kind of, if you win, you're in sort of deal. And it's same
like
idea.
March Madness, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
Kind of piggybacking off of the last issue here. Those are valid. I think I'd be fine with that. I think that would make it more interesting, and I also think that it would come to America. The biggest thing that I think the Super League is trying to get into is the 330 million people that are in America who think soccer is absolute, since you already swore, dog shit. Like just straight up. Like, granted, Atlanta looks like it is a club that watches soccer the entire time, and there's no reason I wouldn't want to go there to watch a game. But at the same time, it's not El Clasico over in Barcelona or Madrid, right? Which is an absolute rave, when they're playing each other. You might die sort of deal.
Right, exactly.
Which makes it fun. I guess for me it makes it fun. But it's them opening up to it, and I think that's, at the end of the day, I think a lot of these, when you look at the board of directors, let me do this transition. When you look at the leadership, is what it's called under the Wikipedia page. Mm-hmm. You have the president of Real Madrid as the chairman, and then 4 vice chairmen. One being the chairman of Juventus,
Andrea Agnelli. Yeah.
Yep. Then Joel Glazer, who is the co-chairman of Man U, who is also one of 6 owners of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. Then you have John W. Henry, who's the owner of Liverpool, who also owns the Boston Red Sox.
Red Sox, exactly.
Yep. And just for kicks and giggles, LeBron James also owns part of Liverpool because he also owns part of the Red Sox. So
that's right. Yep.
Yep. And then you have Stan Kroenke, who is the owner of the LA Rams as well.
Okay.
So you have these, I think what you see, and even you brought up RB Leipzig, that's Red Bull Leipzig, i.e. the Red Bull drink company from Austria. Yes. They have a team in the Bundesliga as well as Leipzig, which is in the Austrian league, correct?
Yep.
And then they also have the New York Red Bull, which is their MLS affiliate. So they're able to kind of trade around. And because they're a corporation, they're all over athletics. They sponsor everything under the sun, including they have a Formula One team who doesn't do too shabby most years. Right. They have a lot of money that they can dump into these clubs, smaller clubs. Why they can't do it in the MLS just because of how it's structured for growth right now. Yeah. But they could do it in RB Leipzig, and that's something that they did, right? They loan around their players to their own clubs and different clubs, and kind of have them grow. They have kind of their own whatever the system's called. I'm forgetting, farm system, right?
Oh yeah, it's like the youth academy. Yeah. So like every team has their youth academy, and certain teams have better development. Like RB Leipzig's youth academy is probably fairly good. One thing that comes to mind that has always had a great youth academy is Ajax. Ajax a few
Yeah.
years ago had some huge players that went to Barcelona, went to Juventus. What's his name? Was now playing for Chelsea. Ziyech. Yeah, Hakeem Ziyech plays
I
for
used
Chelsea now.
I used to I used to know that the people on Chelsea's name. I got into it for like a month and was like, oh yeah, I know all these players.
Yeah,
I should just play FIFA more, and then I would
yeah.
learn
There you
everything.
go.
It would be
That's how
fine.
you learn. Yeah.
Um, I think the Super League, what it's trying to do, to kind of get back on point, but also they want to see the money. No offense, I'm gonna make a dollar sign. We're seeing 4 businessmen at the end of the day who own some of the most valuable franchises in sports history in America and say, why the heck are these not more valuable? Why is there not more money coming from America? Also, to be fair, why they wouldn't just put money into the MLS? It's kind of selfish of them. You could grow the MLS. The reason that the MLS isn't a fixture is because they can't spend the money that these other teams can. Granted, the average price of a player, they're making a good sum of money, but you can only have, this is the nerd in Simeon, you can only have 2 players who make over the allotted budget that players are allowed to make. It's probably one of the reasons that what's the guy from AC Milan?
Ibrahimovic.
Yeah. He came over to LA, thought he was bigger than LeBron, realized he wasn't, realized that the MLS sucks, and he was able just to tear it up, and then went back to AC Milan and just signed another contract with them.
Yeah,
Huge
yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's bad that they want to see money. I don't think it's as a soccer fan, as a lukewarm soccer fan, to put it
Sure.
into.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad that they want to bring America into it. I wish soccer was bigger in America than what it actually is.
Yeah.
Minus the angry dads yelling at you for moving a goalie net.
Exactly.
Where I still have flashbacks to Nam for that one. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are what are male Karens called? Kens. There was a Ken story time with Simeon. We were playing just on a field.
I never heard that phrase Ken.
Yes, that is the male version of Ken.
Karen.
Karen and Ken are
That's
Chad's
awesome.
dad
Yeah.
or Chad's parents.
Chad. I know Chad. Yeah.
Yeah.
He punches a hole in his mom's drywall. Yeah, I know Chad.
Exactly. No, that's Kyle. That's his brother.
Kyle. That's right.
Yeah. We were playing pickup soccer and we wanted to move a goal, and there was this dad who was training I don't know. They probably were 7-year-olds at the oldest.
Yeah. Way too serious about it.
Yeah, way too serious, and was like, hey, stop messing with it. And we're 20-some-year-old, almost 30. Some of us are almost 30, I'm sure, getting yelled at by this 40-year-old man who's upset that we're incorrectly moving a soccer net.
Yeah.
Guys, this is why soccer isn't more popular in America. It's because of assholes like you.
It's because of the Kens in the world.
It's because of the Kens in the world.
Yeah.
I want to get your reaction. This is kind of from the American owners coming in, buying these teams. The biggest thing that happened out of the reaction was actually this weekend, yesterday, I believe, in fact, was who was it? It was Man U, right? The Man U fans storming the field yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I did hear about that.
And that's kind of ridiculous because what they're upset about, in reading the Wikipedia page, shout out to Wikipedia, is the English are trying to, in the Premier League, are trying to introduce a 50+1 rule. Are you aware of the 50+1 rule in Germany?
No, what is this?
So the 50+1 rule is, I guess, in the Bundesliga, the owners have to own 50% plus one of the club, so that they can retain basically voting rights.
Okay.
Basically can outvote the fans. Because a lot of these clubs were started by fans, like in the early 1900s, late 1800s. Mm-hmm. They were started by fans and therefore are still owned by the town. Kind of like the Green Bay Packers of American football.
Okay.
They kind of did that, plus the fact that they're trying to Americanize business. So I really find it funny. They're protesting over taxation without representation in a way,
Yeah.
which I find ironic. But I also find it an extreme overreaction to these fans. The fact that you're storming the teams, the game had to be postponed, if not canceled, because they stormed the field with smoke and police had to get involved. And I just kind of want your reaction. Do you think this was an overreaction by the teams?
So, as an American,
by the fans, sorry.
As an American, if we saw that, for the NFL or for the NBA, we would be like, this is a disgrace, all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised because, European soccer fans are the most passionate, crazy people in the world. We've had like stadium collapsing because of like fans celebrating. Like that's legitimately has happened. So it doesn't surprise me that the
multiple times,
multiple times, yeah, of course. So like it really doesn't surprise me. Is it an overreaction? I mean, that's like some of these people, like that's all they have, right? They don't have. We have baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, like. I don't know what else you want. Golf, right? I mean, they have golf too. It was invented in the UK, but I mean, soccer is like the number one in Europe, everywhere, and it's just imagine just having one sport that you're super passionate about, and having control over it for decades, and now you're losing that control. You're destroying like the history of the sport that you created. Like the English created soccer. They're going to be the most passionate about it.
Right.
So is it an overreaction? Right. As an American, yes. As somebody who has watched soccer for a long time and knows, the passion of the fans, it's not. They're just protecting their history.
That's fair. I think what you're, as a business nerd, what they're kind of missing, I'll allow it. Hold on.
I'll allow it.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll allow it.
Shut up. I'll allow it, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things. Is like the amount of money that's in this. We're talking like Bugatti money. We're talking about people who could. We're talking about the people who have fuck you money. The type of stuff that they could literally buy your house and kick you all out and move their own fans in and still make a profit because that's how they are. Yeah. So I don't get the point. I get the point, but I don't get the point. And I think it's kind of stupid. But at the same time, like, okay, you do you, but at the end of the day, they don't care. They could turn around and sell these teams right now and make, the amount of profit that these teams make is just being sold is absolutely stupid. An NBA team, the Rockets, who suck, mind you.
Yeah.
Sold for an it might have. I have to look this up.
Yeah.
Hold on. Houston Rockets sold for $2.2 billion. I was right. About 2.2. So
yeah, that's a Bugatti. Two Bugattis.
Yeah. A little more.
Yeah.
And these teams are worth more than them. The three American-owned teams, Liverpool, Manchester, and there might be some other ones, and whatever the other one is, I don't care. They're not good anyway. I don't root for them. They don't care. So I think at the end of the day, it's kind of pointless. You kind of shot yourself. You punch yourself. You cut off your nose to spite your face. You shot yourself in the foot. You do you, boo boo. I'll be here. And at the end of the day, I'm going to laugh at you when they sell and make money or they create a super league. And I'm just going to enjoy what I get because I'm a lukewarm soccer fan who enjoys the product on the field no matter what, but can see the difference. Yeah. Alex, do you want to yell at me for anything? Because, I'm stupid.
Here's the thing about it, right? Like that's why like people all over Europe are calling it the European super greed. Have you heard that? They literally were just
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. So European super greed, and it's to the benefit of the business aspect. Yeah, absolutely. I get that. Like as an owner, it's a smart decision for them because they will make a shit ton of money from, the Super League and all these teams it's just a monopoly, right? But
right.
That's the problem. That is the main problem, because like just to get American viewership, when Americans don't really understand the sport, don't watch the sport, they have no history with the sport, it's like the
Yeah.
English are giving up, their baby almost. You know what I mean? And it's just something. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, is it stupid? Is it going to really stop them from doing anything? Maybe. I don't know, but it's just that's just how passionate these fans are. You know what I mean? It's like I said earlier, like I don't know. I mean, maybe like if the Patriots and Giants and Dolphins were included in the in an NFL Super League, or I would say I guess Super
Yeah.
Conference, because it's called conferences, right? And teams like
Yeah.
Buffalo, the Buffalo Bills, who are performing better than these teams, aren't included. The Bills fans would go fucking crazy, right? The Bills fans are
Yeah.
they're
100%.
super passionate, right? So like maybe the Bills fans
Yes.
would storm. Who knows? But that's I just think it would destroy. It would like a lot of people are talking about like, well, it gives these like domestic teams that are staying in their domestic competitions a chance to win, but it makes the divide, the financial bias, so much worse. Now the financial bias is bad now. Super League completely like no one's gonna
Right.
watch it anymore. Like, unless you're from the city of Leicester, you're not gonna watch another Leicester City game ever. There's no reason to. And I think that's the problem. And I just, earlier you're talking about, how the MLS, like, I think the MLS is about 10 years away from becoming a huge league. I think, like, the
Yeah.
fact that you have so many American soccer players right now playing on big teams more so than ever before. Like, you have Christian Pulisic. Now, if Chelsea wins the Champions League with Christian Pulisic at like the helm of that would be huge for American
Yeah.
soccer. It would be huge, and that's a possibility.
100%.
So the game is tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna no, it's on Wednesday. I'm definitely gonna watch it. It's at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
against Real Madrid. I hate Real Madrid. Basically, I'm a Yankees fan because I'm from New York City. But if you're not from New York City, you hate the Yankees.
Okay.
That's Real Madrid. Real Madrid are the fucking Yankees. All right, and they buy.
Got
They
it.
have this Galacticos project, and they
Yeah.
they bought all these players for years, and they've monopolized soccer in that way, right? The Super League would just be
Yeah.
Real Madrid on crack.
Okay. I think that's fair. You're kind of saying from the perspective of you want to see more of soccer as the art that it is.
Because it is an art, and that's why they call it the beautiful game. Because teams like RB Leipzig could come out and beat Tottenham and Atletico, and teams like Porto, Ajax, and Atalanta will Atalanta. Have you heard of Atalanta?
No.
Atalanta is from the city of Bergamo. Bergamo was like the epicenter of COVID when COVID first hit Europe and Italy. It's just north of Milan.
Okay.
It's a small city, very passionate fans.
Okay.
Atalanta had no history, not just in like Europe, but in Italy. Really, they had never had a good team until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and they're one of the most exciting teams to watch right now. They're scoring goals for fun. Their whole team scores of goals. They have like defenders. They're called wingbacks. They're scoring plenty of goals for that position. And they're a really fun team to watch, and they're performing really well. Right now, they're second in Serie A. So right now, Inter Milan just officially won Serie A, and then the title race in Serie A is incredible right now. So there's like, I think second, third, fourth, and fifth place all have equal amount of points right now, and there's 4 games left.
Okay.
It's incredible. It's crazy.
Wow.
And so Juventus has won the title for 9 years, and maybe this is why people are saying, well, we need a Super League because Juventus wins every year. But now they've lost officially, and they might not even play in the Champions League next season. And that's a possibility. That's a huge possibility.
Because how the
And
rules
people like Atalanta are definitely going to make it because they're that good. And that's why it's a beautiful game. And the funny one fun fact about the Champions League: prior to Real Madrid's 3 year in a row, I think they won the Champions League 3 years in a row, and that happened in, I think it was 2015, 16, and 17, or 16, 17, and 18. I think, it was 16, 17, 18. Real Madrid won the Champions League 3 times in a row. That's never been done before in the history of the Champions League and the history of European Cup competitions. No team has ever won the Champions League more than once in a row. And that just shows you the beauty of it. You can have all these teams that are, just huge with huge financial biases that still can't win it. And that's why it comes down to tactics, comes down to managers, comes down to the players and the passion. You make a super league, you get rid of that. So
yeah, I'm not even going to hit the button. I'll allow it, Alex. You've changed my mind on the topic, and I think we'll end on that for real.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, you've changed my mind. I've always said soccer is a easy game to play, which is why so many people pick it up, but it is impossible to perfect.
It is.
And the people who can, and when you recognize that, it makes it more beautiful, like you said. So,
Absolutely.
Alex, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm sure we'll have you back on as well. We enjoy talking to other people because me and Makai can only talk so much crap back and forth to each other. So
yeah, that's fair. Let me know, and if you want to talk about something other than soccer, I can help.
This has been the 4th and 1 podcast. As Makai always says, be kind to one another. Wash your hands, you filthy animals. See you guys next time.